Good afternoon.
Thank you for
Big
coming
Al.
on. Yeah, Big Al. Dewsbury boy.
That's it, mate. Yorkshireman in the dark side. Or is
Yeah,
it the other way around?
No, you're over with St Helens now, so you're all right. You're on the good side.
Yeah.
Tell me.
I can remember, do you know what? I went to watch a 2020 game a few years ago and watched Yorkshire versus Lancashire.
Yeah.
And bear in mind, St Helens is Merseyside anyway.
Yeah, yeah.
But
Originally Lancashire, though.
yeah, but you know, obviously they must follow Lancashire, and Yorkshire won. A great game. We all went in as a team, and I tweeted, "Oh, brilliant! What a game! Good to see Yorkshire beat Lancashire." And the amount of abuse I got,
Did you?
I got I was
Influx
like,
of abuse.
I'll be Yorkshireman still.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. Do you know what? I like it over here. I've been over here a while now.
Yeah. What? So originally you was Batley Bulldogs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
So what age did you get into rugby league?
Oh, I probably started when I was 9, 10, you know, the typical kind of went to the local team. Francis Cummins, the ex-Leeds Rhinos winger,
Right.
his wife, partner at the time, was she was one of the teachers at our junior school.
Right.
And he come down and it was just, Dewsbury Celtic had just started getting a junior team, so they'd only ever had an open age team up until then. And they'd come to our school trying to recruit some numbers and went up from there and loved it. I mean, you know, it was kind of, I think like every boy's dilemma, we were always playing football or rugby and, you know, sort of playing football on a Saturday, rugby on a Sunday. It comes to that point where we got to do one or the other. And I was taking too many tendencies from the football into the rugby games, and, you know, you sort of hitting people off the ball at 10, 11 and naturally being a bit bigger than everyone else. So I thought, you know, I best stick to the rugby. And yeah, well, you know, it's just sort of that natural progression from there, should I say.
Yeah. Cool. So you was always quite tall for your age then?
Yeah, a larger child. I was quite overweight, to be honest, as growing up, and I actually stopped playing for a while. You know, probably 16 to 18, and yeah, I got quite big. I think I was like 21 stone at one point,
Right.
and being a little bit shorter than what I was now, and stopped playing, and you know, started playing again under 18s, but. To be honest, I say it's been a natural progression of sort of winged it, you know. This professional rugby league career of mine, you know, I was never sort of at 16, 17 wanting to be a rugby league player. It was just never on the radar. I enjoyed sort of messing about with my mates and training and going for a drink on a Saturday after a match at open age, and went to uni and stuff like that, and
Right.
you know, fell into this kind of game. You know, this wasn't probably the the plan I had, but yeah, just like any boy growing up in sort of these working class towns, you know, find yourself playing in a sports team, and we're lucky enough to go on and be a professional.
Yeah. I seen a comment somewhere that said you made a remarkable transition into professional rugby league.
Did I make that? I didn't make that, did I?
You could have wrote that.
No, I didn't
Maybe
make
you
that.
did. Oh, it says, Alex Walmsley. Yeah. So you was at uni. What was you studying at university?
Quantity surveying.
All right,
Yeah, so I mean, I went to uni at 18. I went to college and uni, and I'd never gone this scholarship or academy route. Like, you know, I wasn't a good player as a child growing up. I was, you know, if I made the bench, I was quite fortunate. You know, that's just, you know, the standard I was at, and sort of went to college, university, lived away, and you know, so I went from there. I had a bit of a growth spurt, 18, 19, and you know, I sort of put my career down to being quite an awkward person, you know, in the sense of I'm not the most naturally gifted rugby league player in the world. I'm far from it. I'm probably just good at being awkward and being a different kind of size and physique to your average players. It's kind of set me aside and allow me to progress that way. And so I went to uni, studied quantity surveying, and that was going to be my life. You know, I was going to be a quantity surveyor after uni, and you know, sort of go down that route and keep playing amateur on the side, and that'd have been great for me. I loved it. Absolutely loved it. I think playing amateur rugby and for Dewsbury Celtic are some of the best memories of my life, and that's comparing them to the professionals, because you meet your mates for life in those types of scenarios. And I did that, and sort of at uni, going back playing on a weekend. Yeah, and just chance at 21, 22, I sort of got offered a trial at Batley, which I was quite surprised at. John Key was there, and I was playing for the Met side, and they'd watched me there, and I wouldn't say there was reluctance, any reluctancy from Batley to offer me anything, but I'd had offered from other semi-professional clubs in the past, but right. I didn't want to pursue it because I was enjoying my amateur rugby that much. I didn't want to commit to a contract. I wanted to, if it didn't work out, be able to play with my mates on a weekend. I didn't want to sort of train at a semi-professional outfit and not play rugby on the weekend.
Yeah.
I didn't want that, and so Batley offered me a trial, and worked out pretty well.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah,
it didn't.
That was sort of the start. Yeah,
I remember hearing at the time you was on the radar and on the lips of a lot of people before you came across and you signed for St Helens. You were one to watch out for, and you was earmarked, I think, then by probably by Eamon McManus, who'd said, we've got this our eyes on this guy from Batley, young up and coming stud, who's taking scalps, being a bit of an enforcer on the pitch, and you've done wonders with St Helens. Are you enjoying your time at the club?
Yeah, I love it. It's been great, and you sort of going to Batley and sort of getting this opportunity to go semi-pro and being a local team for me, Batley Bulldogs. I knew lads there, people like Danny Moore and good friends of mine, and helped me transition to that semi-professional level. And when I sort of signed for Batley, by no stretch of the means did I think I was going to play every week. I thought this was going to be a bit of a transition, take 2 or 3 years and I'll be a solid semi-professional player, and it didn't work out that way. And again, it probably comes down to my awkwardness. It wasn't my skill. I wasn't sort of.
I mean, your physicality awkwardness, not your personality.
Yeah, both. I think every rugby player is a little bit awkward one way or another. That's part of the trade. But it was great, and it was a strange year. I sort of got this opportunity, and probably helped that Premier Sports was covering the championship games at the time. I don't know if you remember, but so we used to play quite a lot of Thursday night games, and so you're sort of getting a bit of recognition there, and that sort of I think helped. And I'd signed according to the papers, I must have signed for about 4 or 5 different clubs that year. No one, and you did all this, and everyone kept saying to me, have you signed for these? Have you signed? Like, no, I haven't. I'm just enjoying it. And John Keir come to me one Thursday night. He said, what are you doing tomorrow, Cock? And I sort of said, well, I'm a student, John, so I won't be doing much. He went, oh, well, St Helens, we'll have a drive over. They've come in for you and are interested in signing you. And I was like, brilliant. So me, John Keir, and a friend of mine drove over on the Friday. We had looked around the change rooms, looked at the stadium. I think it was only a year old, the new stadium at the time, and I knew right then, and they said go away, have a think about it. They didn't even told me how much money it was going to be. They just sort of said go away and I'll come back Monday, and they'd give me a contract Monday to sign. And that was it, yeah. And I didn't even really look at the figures. It was probably the worst contract I could have signed. There was no negotiations whatsoever.
Yeah, I'll have it.
Yeah, I'll sign it. How good's this? You get to play for St Helens, one of the most prestigious teams in not just England but in the world. It's such a massive club, and I always thought when a club like St Helens come in for you, you don't question that.
Yeah,
you go for it. You got to get opportunity, and it was funny. I had offers in the championship to stay and probably earn 3-4 times as much money. And for me, it was never part of that. It was you given an opportunity to play for St Helens, and that was it. It was brilliant. I thought, yeah, let's go. And for that, as much as I didn't look at the contract and probably wasn't financially the best thing I've ever done, it was the best thing I've ever done, because it started this life of mine as a Super League player, which has been unbelievable, and so I'm very I'm very proud of and humbled to be a part of such a great club. So it was a good day, that.
So you never got to play at Knowsley Road then?
I never played. I never even got to visit there. So I was a Leeds Rhinos fan, and I had a season. I was yeah, unfortunately.
I heard you. I'm just sorry.
Do you know what? They're the team I love beating the most as well.
Is it?
Now, yeah, because just having they had a few opportunities to sign with the Leeds and never took it. So I always listen, I love beating them the most, but even more than Wigan.
Just to show them, just to prove a point. Is it?
Yeah, I a little bit. Yeah, that's one thing I always get told when you sort of speak to the your fans and especially the older generation is they love Knowsley Road. The atmosphere there, and it was just something else. And I think the atmosphere what we have now at the Totally Wicked Stadium, which is I think it's brilliant, but the say it doesn't come anywhere close to what Knowsley Road was like. No,
I mean obviously Knowsley Road was steeped in history with it as well, and the fact that it was an all-standing stadium. Apart from the there were some seats up above the boys' pen, wasn't there, in the other stand, but predominantly everyone was stood there together side by side, shouting, singing, calling the ref, and you got to come out the tunnel from the top end of the pitch under the sticks. It was a great atmosphere, and but things move on. You get to create the new history at Totally Wicked Stadium.
We do, yeah. I think it's took a while. I think there was a lot of bedding in. I can remember Eamon sort of saying after we beat Wigan one night, and he said, "That's it now." The atmosphere was electric that night. I think it was around 2014, and we'd gone through a bit of a transition period, and we'd sort of the older generation of the Saints, sort of 2006. Iconic team. We got these legends like Kieran Cunningham, Scully, Longy. That'd sort of gone, and it was like the new breed coming through, and there was a lot of there was a big transition there as the club was going through, and that night was sort of the first night he sort of speaks about when we've made our new ground, our new home. It's took 2 or 3 years, but but
that bedding in is
it's there now. Yeah, the atmosphere is there, the fans are there, and I love playing at home. They sort of speak about Knowsley Road and how they made it a fortress, and that's always been a passion and an aim of ours as a team, and we've sort of done that now, and the fans are a massive part of that. Not wanting opposing teams not wanting to come to our stadium, and it's a nice stadium to play at. You come in, the change rooms are probably the best in Super League, and the pitch is one of the best in Super League, so it's a nice place, but we want to make it as uncomfortable as we can, and that passion what the fans bring and the atmosphere there is a big part of that.
Okay. Having said that, obviously we're playing during COVID. There's no fans there.
Yeah, it's rubbish.
It's
rubbish. It's rubbish. It is. It really is. It's sucked all life out of it. Especially when you go out to warm up and you go out for the kick-off. I think when you're playing and there's that, when you're in the middle of it, there's quite a lot going on. You tend to be in the zone, so you can kind of go about it. But that when you're going out and it's just dead, especially when you've been used to this now. I mean, I've gone from playing in front of 60, 70 people at Croness Park for Dewsbury Celtic to
playing at Wembley.
And 12,000 people every week at it's just at least at Saints 12 to 18,000 and and 70,000 at Old Trafford. It's to then go from that back to nothing. It's rubbish, and it's a shame because the fans are the sport. Without the fans,
once you're walking up that tunnel, that crowd must instantly lift you.
Yeah, it's brilliant, and you sort of go back, and me being a forward and being a prop, and you stand on the back line from a kick-off, and you've got the fans behind you, and it makes it gives you that extra 15%. It really does, and. It's rubbish. It is rubbish without them. Yeah. Hopefully we can get them back in soon. But you want them back in right as well. We don't come back in and hear about not allowed to sing and do this. You want them to get back in and that life be there, and that's that heart and soul of it, and because that's what it's about. You don't want to be playing in front of 10,000 people if they've got to sit down,
silent clapping.
Yeah, and have a mask on and not show the passion. So hopefully when they do come back, it's right.
Yeah. And you need that 14th man sometimes, don't you?
It helps. It helps. It does. It really does. And you can think back to some. I love going to Warrington because our away following is unbelievable. Yeah. The atmosphere, what they create there, and there's been some games where they've got us over the line, and they do help. Yeah. They do. It's to say they don't have a direct impact on what's going on, but they just help you get through some moments. And
does that make you want to play for the fans as well?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously you're there to do a job anyway.
Yeah.
Your own pride and everything will want to get you over that whitewash, but
yeah, they do. One thing you can say about fans is that they're honest. They're honest, and if you're going well, they'll back you and they'll follow you. But if you're going through a bit of a purple patch and as a team and you're not doing the right things, they'll tell you as well. And which comes with the territory, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. I've there's been aspects of my time at Saints where there's been quite a toxic feeling on the pitch, and the fans have been sort of disillusioned with us as a team, and that backing us because we're not doing what we should be doing on the pitch, and it's not the fans' fault. We're not producing what we need to produce for the fans and what they expect, because there's a high level of expectation at our club, and rightly so. We're a massive club, so there's times when you've gone out and it's not been nice. That feeling there, and there was a time when it was quite a toxic feel, and you sort of enjoyed away games more than the home games because you was coming to, and especially if we didn't perform. Mm-hmm. There was a bit of abuse and not nasty, but there was letting you know what we was doing wasn't good enough, and it comes with the territory, and you need that honest sort of that feel. But what I can say about the fans is when you're going great, they'll tell you. It's never just negative.
But they're also your harshest critic.
Of course, but you don't have to win every single game to have the fans' heart, but you got to show a bit of willing and determination and a bit of passion, and that's all they want, don't they? And, but if that ever drops, they'll let you know.
Oh, aye. Send him back. Send him back.
The long shite. I've had that a few times.
Oh,
yeah. Send him back to Batley in a long shite.
Brilliant. So as coaches go, you've been under, is it 4 coaches at Saints now?
Brownie, Kez, Justin, and now Wolf. 4. Yeah.
And how's Christian doing? Is he doing a good job?
It's good. It's been really good. He's different to Justin.
He's a lot different to Justin's approach, isn't he?
He is and he isn't. I think it's more the personality. There's just different kind of. I can remember when I first met Wolfie, I thought, he's serious, this man. He's a serious fella. But
he's just got that intimidating face. He
has. He's the way he speaks and that demeanour about him. But I don't buy it now. You bet them walls down a little bit. Is a great bloke, and the boys have really took to him, and he's took to us. And there was a bit of I think whenever a new coach comes in, there's a bit of sort of bedding in what needs to be got to take place, and he wants to get his systems across, and we've got to change a little bit. And you probably saw that at the start of the year in our performances and the results. But we've sort of come back, and we're sort of he's been great. It was always tough, I think, for Christian to come in off the back of what Justo did last year, and the year before. We've sort of come from being this record-breaking league-winning team and grand final champions, and I suppose there's a lot of pressure for him, but we're a good side, we're a good squad. We've got to make sure we keep continuing, and but he's come in and he's added little subtleties to our game, and I think we're better for it. And we're getting better every week with Christian as well. So I think we're still scratching the surface of our full potential, and I feel that'll come in the next few weeks.
Excellent. Good, it's exciting times.
It is. It's mad. I think 12 months ago was probably playing for a grand final. We've still got 8 weeks left. It's
mad, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is. It's,
somebody said to me the other day, my daughter's boyfriend's just come out as a Warrington Wolves fan.
Sorry.
Me too. But I got Briers to send him a message.
Yeah.
But then I got Louis to do him one, and he said, Louis was brilliant. He said, "All right, son, if you want to support Warrington, that's it. But it's just years of misery. But it's your choice."
I think that's one thing you get with our sport is that as much as we want to beat each other on the pitch, there's always a bit of sort of, there's respectful rivalry, I call it, between the clubs.
Do you have any rituals on a game day? Is there anything particular that you like to do? Or
I think as I've got older, I've kind of relaxed them a little bit. The only thing I sort of adhere to now and I commit to is I listen to the same 5 songs before I go out for warm up. I have a playlist and I'll listen to music, but the last 5 songs I listen to, I adhere to.
Tell us what they are. Or?
Stone Roses, Resurrection, into it's quite a weird list. This, by the way,
eclectic.
Yeah, into AC/DC, You Shook Me All Night Long, into The Who, Baba O'Reilly,
tune.
Into the Stone Roses again, Sally Cinnamon.
Right.
That's one. And that's just been my last few years, my ritual. Yeah, I've had it for a while now, but I think that's the only thing I stick to now. Before I do so, you have to do this. I have to get this strapped at this time, and make sure I get that mass out and listen to this, watch this, eat this, and I don't know. I think as I've got older, I got lazy with it all and kind of stick to the music.
I used to always
now.
have to put my left sock on first. I still do now. At home every day, left sock first.
Yeah.
And if my socks are inside out, I don't change them. If I put them on inside out, that's it. I have to stick with them.
I've got nothing like that. Nothing as bad as that.
Just crazy.
That's OCD. That's
Is
it's a bit intense.
So them tunes, what do? They just get you in the mood, get you ready, get you focused?
Oh, yeah. I want the rather music what gets me fired up and ready to, knock someone's lights out. That kind of music is. I think it's just whenever I hear them songs now, and that's how I've ordered, I kind of like get a head on now. Let's just go out and make sure I'm ready to go out and do what I need to do, and it just gets me. It's weird when I hear the songs on the radio. I kind of like want to turn the radio off, put a different song on, because I feel my mood changing a little bit.
Okay.
I feel my mood changing, and so I think he just has that. I just sort of connect them now to playing rugby.
You're fortunate to play in a couple of grand finals.
Yeah.
What's that like? Getting there on the day, getting ready, and then walking out on that pitch in front of everyone.
It's brilliant. The hair stand up on the back of your neck, and I thought that was a bit of a bullshit cliche. I never think people say that. Oh yeah, stand up on the back of your neck. I thought, how does that happen? Scientifically, how does it work? But it does. I can remember walking out in 2014, and the fireworks go off, and you hear the raw 75,000 people just screaming, and it's incredible. It really is, and you sort of your heart's pumping, and unreal. I know in 2014, I sort of come off the bench in 2014, and I never had that experience with that first sort of, involvements of the grand final. But I was lucky to start in 2019, and brilliant, best moments ever. That's why you play, don't you? To win things, and they're the things you remember.
Do you get that same feeling the first time you played for England and Great Britain?
Yeah.
Because you're fortunate to, again, earn international honours at your trade.
Yeah. It's, again, I think as I sort of signed for Saints, and, similar to I went to Batley, I got signed for Saints, and, Mike Rush kind of said to me, listen, you probably only play a few games, and, we'll send you back to Lowell and Batley, and we'll ease you in. And I sort of just found myself a first team player for Saints sort of from off the bat. There was a few injuries, and I sort of got myself into the team, and I've never been out since. And so I thought, this is the pinnacle. And then as you start playing a few years, and I started playing pretty, I was playing pretty well every week pretty much, and your targets tend to get higher, and you sort of have a few good games, and you're getting a bit more recognition, and you're playing well, and yeah, I'm developing more as a rugby league player, because I didn't know how to play rugby when I signed for Saints. I was, like I said, I was big and awkward and clumsy. I didn't know how to play it. But as I learnt these little subtleties to my game, and sort of advanced as a player, and added a bit of hand-eye coordination, being able to catch and pass, the basics, as I learnt them. And yeah, you sort of hear about international honours, and you say, are you going to try to play for England? And I nearly played in 2015. I got injured in the semi-final playoff against Leeds, so I had to miss out that year, and I sort of didn't think it was ever going to happen, and I was lucky enough eventually in 2017 World Cup to sort of make it, and it was brilliant. It was brilliant, and something what I thought would never happen. There was always so many near hits with the international honours. Sort of, I'd come close but never sort of made it. I had the injury in 2015, and in 2017 I went out for the Samoa test and didn't get picked. So the 18th man then, and then in the World Cup.
How did that make you feel?
Hindsight, I think I was better for it.
Right.
Wayne Bennett sort of, he's got his critics, especially over here. But as someone who was played under him, he's brilliant in how he works, and he tests you, he doesn't just see you as a rugby player. He wants to see how you are as a bloke and a man, and whether you're right for this setup. You don't want to. You can be the best player in the world, but if you're not right for this team, then you're not a part of it. And it works you out, and it tests you to see what you're made of. And thankfully, I think I passed that test when you sort of land in Sydney on a Monday morning after a 24-hour flight. You're jet lagged. You're sort of having to get up to train, and you sort of told on that first sort of meeting with him that you're not going to be playing. It was quite soul destroying, really. You're thinking, what am I doing here? I'm missing out playing on a game for Saints. We had a big game against Warrington, and I've flown halfway to the other side of the world, and my partner's pregnant, and my head was at shed, and I thought, I'm going to show you then. And I trained really well. I trained the house down, and that then put me in. And he sort of said to me, "You'll be there in the World Cup. Just make sure you're playing well." And
so your attitude, how you handle that, then put you in great stead.
I think so.
In his eyes as well.
Yeah, I think so, because there's an old saying what the All Blacks have. No dickheads. You know what I mean? And you can be the best player in the world, but if you're not a good person, you're not humble, and you're not willing to train hard and do everything you need to do, and then you're not going to be a part of that setup. And that's and Wayne's got a similar sort of ethos there. If you've got to be right for the team, you can't just be the best.
Yeah.
Because if you are, you don't work. You don't.
Team's not
no
round one person.
It does, you sort of. You can't have a bad egg, it's like a cancer, you can have one bad egg in a team and it'll spread throughout, and and that's what happens to you sort of your teams when you got bad people in there. You need to make sure everyone's on singing off the same hymn sheet, and but I missed out then, and I sort of come back for the World Cup, and I was supposed to make me debut against Australia in the World Cup opener, and I got cellulitis in my leg.
Right.
I got cellulitis in my leg like 5 days. I thought, I'm cursed here. I'm not going to play for England. It's never going to happen. I was in a pretty bad way. I was on intravenous, and I'm thinking, it's my.
Because it can get quite serious, cellulitis, can't it?
Yeah, I mean, we joke about it now. Me and the doc, when we spoke, Brooksy sort of said, you was pretty close to going to hospital there, and I can remember Brooksy had sort of set up this medical room in the hotel, in one of his bedroom in his hotel room. We had like drips hanging off the curtains, and I was in on intravenous. I was on all these antibiotics, 7 tablets 4 times a day, just trying to get this bug out of me, because it was trying to get me ready for the Australia game, but it was never going to happen. It was never going to happen. So it was a pretty bad one. My leg sort of swelled up twice the size of what it normally was, and he sort of said he was lucky. He was lucky there. Was so close having to take you in, but thankfully, I shook it off and I made the debut the week after against Lebanon, and it was brilliant. Standing there and singing the national anthem and stuff. One of the proudest moments of my life. It really was.
Excellent. Speaking about injuries, you're playing Warrington. It's 2018. Talk us through that game.
Yeah, it was. It's never ideal, but you sort of pick up a bad one, and that was a pretty bad one. I remember sort of, I'd come off the back of a World Cup, and I had a few little niggles from the World Cup, and I didn't get much of a pre-season. I was probably unfit at the start of Super League, but you're kind of you're chasing your fitness levels, and I think it was round 5 for Warrington, and I was still not quite there. And through fatigue, I've made an uncharacteristic tackle. What I've never done in my career, probably never do again. But I've tried making a tackle, and I've come out pretty bad. And sort of, in a way, thankfully, I was a bit concussed because I got brought off. But if I wouldn't have got brought off, I'd have kind of just, you would have tested it out.
Check it off,
let's see what it is. And obviously we'd sort of scanned it a few days later, and I had a double neck fracture, which isn't the news you want to hear on the Monday. We'd sort of, I think we'd played on the Friday night. We'd sort of seen how it was Saturday. We'll see how we thought it was whiplash. I had some nerve issues, but I think none of us ever predicted what was going to happen. And we sort of went for a scan on the Monday, and we'll just make sure everything's right, and let's make sure there's nothing sinister going on. And you sort of get off the MRI bed and you sat in. Well, I've been on I've had MRIs, I've had 20, 30 MRIs. You sort of get the results a few hours later, and you get your clothes back on, and off you go. And as I was getting off, my phone was ringing, and it was Millsy, and he sort of said, the physio. And he said, I went, "Hi mate, you alright?" He went, "Yeah, listen, don't panic, but you broke your neck." I went, "Right,
shit.
Don't panic."
Don't panic, yeah.
What
Easy as that. Don't panic, but you've just broke your neck.
Well, what do you mean? I'm thinking I've been driving around all weekend. I was sort of, I was Atticus would have been 5-6 months old, so I'm doing my fatherly duties. I'm driving around, and he went, "Yeah, it's there's an issue. We need to get you braced up. We need to send you for a CT scan and make sure we know exactly what we're dealing with." I thought that was it. I thought, fucking hell, my world's ended here. You sort of, all the stigma, what comes with it, and I'm thinking, am I going to be right? Am I, as mad as it sounds, even though I'd been walking for, 3 or 4 days, I'd done all what I need to be doing. I thought,
no, but the reality is now hitting home. You've got a broken neck. It's pretty serious, isn't it?
Am I going to be paralysed tomorrow? Is something going to happen where I think, is something going to move, and is it going to touch some delicate structures and affect my life, not just as a rugby player, but as a man and as a new father, and all these emotions hit me, and I was shitting myself. You go for this. I went to Liverpool Royal for this CT scan. We had to go to the nearest place, and that was an experience in itself. I'm sat in A&E with a broken neck for 6 hours waiting to get seen, because bless the NHS, they're under some stress at the minute, and I saw the other side of that. And we get this CT scan and get it done, and yeah, it was a pretty bad one. I'd sort of done it over. I had 2 fractures. I'd cracked my C6 and I had a C7 fracture as well, and the disc was bulged and ruptured. So it was, I think at the time I'd sort of downplayed it. I was kind of just sort of thinking, yeah, it's a bone, it'll heal. It was always quite positive but it was quite uncertain times at the time, and going for the surgery, getting the operation and things like that. There was a lot of unknowns. Thankfully, I've sort of made a full recovery, and I was always aiming to get back that year. And one thing you can't do is you can't cheat time. And I can remember going back to see John, who was the surgeon, and he said, we laugh about it now, but I'd gone back 18 months after. I'd been playing for 12 months, and he sort of kept me under his watch for 12 months just to keep an eye on the neck, do a few X-rays, make sure everything's still as solid as it is. All the cage is fine, and all the structures there are bedded in as they should be. And on the last one, just before John sort of released me or whatever, from his watch, he kind of said, I remember watching that first game and I was shitting myself for you, because as the science was there, we'd done all the right things, we'd done the operation. In theory, your neck is as strong as ever. You've got 4 screws at the front, you got 4 screws at the back, 2 plates, a cage. He said it's rock solid, it's like reinforced concrete. But I've never have that injury and go back to contact sport or even any kind of sport. Yeah. This is an injury where you see on a jockey or a motorcycle accident, someone's been thrown off a bike, and you don't see it in sport, these injuries. And so
no, they are career-ending injuries, aren't they?
Yeah, and he said it never, he had to put all this trust in the faith and in the theory, but it was a known entity for us all. And
so you got a cage in your neck now.
I've got a cage where my disc should be, and 4 screws on a plate at the front, 4 screws on a plate at the back.
Wow.
It's the X-ray's pretty mad. I'll show you.
Yeah.
it's pretty mad what's going on.
So first game back then after that, how does that go? What's going through your mind at that point?
That was the hardest part. I think the rehab itself was pretty easy in terms of I had to let the bone heal, and we had to let everything fuse and be solid and everything reinforced and as it should be. What I wasn't preparing for was the mental side of it, and that was the hardest bit. So I had the year out. was trying to get me back with that year, which was never going to happen, you know. But it was kind of, I needed that.
The wife wouldn't let you get back that early.
And I needed that false up just to keep me motivated and keep me going. I'll give myself a name and let me get me back for this year. And you know, obviously it was never going to happen, but we spoke about it, and we come to I think we played Wigan in a friendly. It was my first game. I'd done all my contacts, I'd done all my progressions, but you can't replicate a game in training. You know, a game's completely different. And last time I'd sat in the change rooms, you know, I'd come out with a broken neck, and that was the reality of it. And that was what was going through my mind going into the game. And it was terrifying. It was terrifying. I'm sat there and I'm thinking, I don't care what. All I want to do is sit in this change room after the game and be fine. You know, and that's all I was thinking before. And I went to see a psychologist a few weeks leading up to it, and I didn't want to talk about it. We talked about everything but the sort of this oncoming game, what was going to be a part of again. And I was probably scared for the best part of 6 months being back into the season. So, you know,
and rightly so. And it's bold that you can talk about that now and admit that got on. But like you say, it's not a ligament tear, is it? It's
and that's what you sort of, do I want to do this? That was the question which I was asking myself all the time. And you know, I had Atticus would have been nearly 18 months. You know, we had another one on the way not so long after. So I was a new dad. You know, is it worth the risk? And you know, there was always that feeling of I'm not done.
Yeah,
I know I'm not done. That gut feeling's telling me that I can do this and I can keep going. But it was terrifying. You know, every time I went into a game, I was worried. You know, thankfully, as soon as the ball kicks off and you're sort of in and amongst it,
the adrenaline kicks in and
and there's enough going on. That's it. You don't really have time to stop and think about it. But you know, every time you're in a bit of an awkward position, it comes back and you're sort of thinking, let me get my head out, let me get, you know, safe. And that went on for a while. You know, and thankfully, as the games and, you know, the more contact I had and the more tackles and the more drives and everything else, it sort of eased and to the point now where it's very much in the back of my mind. Every now and again it'll come back like a bear just sneaking around the corner. But
you're beasting it at the minute, mate. Anyway, you are beasting it. You know, you'd never think that anything like that gone on, and you know you're having a phenomenal season up at St Helens, and it's great to watch.
Yeah.
You're just throwing them off like swatting bees some days.
No, I think that was what I was adamant on as well, is that if I come back right. I don't sort of change how I play. I don't change, you know, how I approach the game. You know, I play in a position where there's going to be a lot of contact, there's going to be a lot of big hits and big collisions. I can't go into tackles and drives, you know, half-assed or half-hearted.
No, that's when you're going to get injured, isn't it?
I want to make sure I'm right, yeah. You know, if I'm not 100% committed to these games and I'm going to play again, then I might as well retire, because you know that's me done. You know, there's no point me coming back and not being who I was before. But yeah, you know, thankfully it's kind of, you know, there's a little bit of nerve issue. You know, I'm a bit weak on my left side because of the nerve damage, but other than that, I've had no sort of real effects in terms of how I've been able to come back and play. You know, I've lost a bit of neck movement. I can't look up that high anymore.
So you'll never be a sniper?
This is it. No, never. You know, thankfully I'm 6'5" and I can see on the top shelf anyway. So, so there is aspects, you know, and there's your loss of movement and things like that. But thankfully I've been able to return and play a standard what I'm happy enough to keep doing.
Yeah. Like I say, you're having a phenomenal season, mate. I mean, the team is as well. I mean, obviously not the Challenge Cup, but
no, thanks, Ron. I think it was a slow start. You know, I think for me and the team, I think it was a slow start, and you know, and that's like I spoke about earlier. Some of that's probably a new coach coming in, and you sort of bedding, you want to learn each other, and now he wants you to play and how the team to play, and you know, I think the lockdown probably, you know, as much as disruptive as it's been to our sport and the world, it's been crazy, and this COVID, but it gave us an opportunity as a team to sort of freshen up and come back with you know, a reignited feel and drive again for our team. And
all the training's currently back at the club at the minute now, isn't it? You're still in that like bubble at Totally Wicked Stadium. So all your training, your meetings and everything is done. There's whereas before it was up at Cowley, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. So
what's that been like?
It's been great. I think it's made it exciting. So you've sort of gone, COVID's hit. We don't know what's going on. We don't know if the game's going to survive, all these emotions. But all we know is we can control is how we prepare ourselves, how we come back. And we've got an honest group, and we sort of said we'll train hard. And, what we thought was going to be a 4-week lockdown obviously turned into 8 weeks. And lockdown's finished, but the sport's not coming back, and we're still waiting. And we train pretty hard. And one thing I've learned is I need people around me to train, all those sportsmen, athletes who can go out and train by themselves, and massive respect to you. I need people around me, and I trained really hard, but it was a gruel, getting up in the morning to try and take myself to a field and flog myself and do some weights after, when you're used to sort of having 25 other blokes around you and playing games and, doing what you've done as a kid because you've enjoyed it all your life, to this side of it of individualised training was tough. And
it's a team sport. It's a team mentality, isn't it? You grow together, you play together, you
drag each other through it all.
Yeah. And so to have that taken away,
it was tough. It was really hard, harder than I thought. You sort of at first you thought, right.
And then you got the first week of doing the video log on the Saints.
That's right. Yeah.
Going for a run.
It was funny. I was kind of trying to hide. I went back to Yorkshire, so me and Simone are lucky enough to have a bungalow at Simone's parents where we've got our own little space, and it was tough, but I got a lot out of it. I trained really hard, and everyone did. And to come back then and new gym set up in the stadium, got us on a lot. It was exciting. Everyone was buzzing, and those first few weeks training was as good as training as I've ever been involved with, because everyone was fresh. Was sort of, anyone had little knocks, and there was a few of us had niggles, and all them had gone.
You're never going to go into a game at 100% fit when you're playing week after week after week. So that recuperation period, I bet that was really good. Yeah,
it was best I'd felt in 10 years. It really was, and you'd sort of, like I said, gone from this week and week relentless sort of bashing each other, and when you've gone on an international tour, like gone to the GB tour, which was a tough tour, and gone into that with a couple of knocks, and you're coming back with a couple more knocks, and then you sort of having only 2 or 3 weeks off season before you know it, you're back playing again in Super League. You're sort of never given that opportunity to let your body do what it does best and recover naturally, and this has given us that opportunity, and you mix that into an honest playing group, what we have at Saints, who've trained hard on their own and come back in as good shape as we could imagine. It's probably why we're doing what we're doing on the pitch and how well we're playing.
Top of the league.
We're going all right. We're going all right. Let's stay there.
So typical working week then for you as a rugby league professional. What's your working week like?
It varies on the fixtures and the schedules. If you're going from Friday to Friday, we kind of come in on a Monday. We have a full day. Sort of do weights on the morning, bit of video, review the last game, a few meetings. We'll have us dinner and we'll come back and we'll do a field session in the afternoon. Tuesday, similar kind of setup again. We'll do field in the morning, big intensity session. So how our training is sort of scheduled is we build our intensity up through the week.
Right.
So Monday's very much about clarity. Your sort of subtle skills, a lot of skill-based training. Individual kind of training, props over there, your forwards are doing one, backs doing this, very little full team stuff. On a Tuesday, the intensity goes up and we do very much game related training set for set. We build up that till we cut to captain's run, where we get his final run through and obviously play then on a Friday night.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so the captain's run, what's that?
So captain's run for us is just, it comes, I believe it's, the age-old captain takes a session. So Robers would take the session, which doesn't really work like that anymore. It's still the coach still does the session, but we still call it the captain's run. So we'll do a little bits. We'll focus on little areas. We'll do some edge stuff. Where we've got two teams just doing game-related things what are quite specific to our opponents, and finish with some set-for-set kind of finishes. Getting our good ball sets on, yardage sets, and put them into practice, what we'll hopefully take into a successful game the night after.
You've got James Graham back. What's that like having him back in the team?
He's brilliant. Jam is brilliant. He is. To lose Tomo was tough. Obviously world class player. I've been out on record and say he's going to be one of the best in the world, and I still believe that. I think he's had a bit of a tough time at Canterbury since this season. They've not seen the real Tomo yet. He'll go over there and he'll kill it. But to lose someone of Tomo's calibre and in the way it happened was disappointing, obviously for us as a team. But I can remember Wolfie giving us a ring. It was sort of 2 weeks before we was back in training, and was saying, we've got an opportunity to bring Jammer back. What are your thoughts? And I said, there's nothing to think about. Let's get him. He's brilliant. I've been lucky enough to play with him at England and GB, and I know the passion what he brings to the teams. And
it's the Scouser in him, isn't it?
He's an angry man. He's an angry man. Not so much angry off it, but on the pitch I'm thankful I've never played against him. Always with him. He gets into you, but he was brilliant. He said he's excellent. He's a world class player. He's been one of the best front rowers. Our game scene. I think he's been the best English forward. Especially in my lifetime. Easily the best prop forward with what we've ever produced. So to have the opportunity to come back and sort of fill that void in a year where everything's different. I don't think the team who's going to win Super League this year is necessarily going to be the best skilled team. It's a team who can deal with all the adversity and the shit what's going on elsewhere. Yeah. The disruptions due to positive tests and other aspects and your short turnarounds, your midweek games. The team who can deal with all those kind of aspects is going to be the team what's going to lift the trophy at the end of the year.
Yeah. I suppose that's the depth in the squad as well.
Yeah, no, vitally, yeah, and we've got a good depth in the squad, and having someone like Jammer who can drag us through those times and lead as he does and as he's done for all his life. He's been huge for coming back to us. He's filled that void and he's give us a bit more. He's give us that voice and that leader and someone who's gonna. And you can see it in the opposition's eyes when they're coming up against Jammer. He'll get into you. He's 34, 35 now. He's probably not. He ain't got the same physical attributes as his 25-year-old.
He's vocal enough the other week when he said, "You get the ball and run at me."
No one backs that. You know what I mean? No one's ever
said,
no, he doesn't. He's excellent. And he rattles people and gets into them, and he's been awesome. I was so happy to play with him at international level. He's someone I've always looked up to. To be able to do it now week in, week out at Saints and in what could be his last year is huge. And hopefully we can do him well and finish with a bit of glory.
I thought you didn't like him because when you stuck the head on him last week, cut him open.
He said to me, it's really Jammer. He went, "What did he say?" He said, "Oh, yeah, he come in with stitches on." He went, "That was you." "Well, what do you mean?" He went, "You give me that." I went, Well, you headbutted me as well. It's not one way street here. We both collided together. Just because I ain't got soft skin and needed stitching. No,
because I'm harder than you.
Yeah, exactly. Which I said behind his back as he was walking off.
Obviously, yeah. Well, it's out of hearing distance. Yeah. Is there any particular players or particular team that you don't look forward to playing?
No.
But you won't want to say that on camera, like.
Yeah, no. I think there's obviously stadiums and grounds which are a bit rough and ready, and you sort of go to your Wakefields and it's old school to the least, and the change rooms aren't great, and you sort of get used to this real, I won't say luxury, but nice sort of facilities what we have at Saints, and that's always tough.
You end up in the sheds.
Yeah, you do it, but you sort of get this this get in, get out mentality, siege that's get the job done and get it out, and that spurs you up. So there's always a motivation no matter where you go into, and Cass is always tough.
The jungle.
They're always on you, and the fans there are something else. They're just.
I did play there when I played. It's called the Academy now, but when I played, it was called the District Development Association.
Right.
And you could play for like your club and there as well. I played up there. It was fairly new pitch. I've still got a scar on my arm because there was no grass on the pitch. It was like I remember I played in France, and that was the same. It's like sand, like dust, and that was pretty similar there.
It's a rough one. The jungle, the fan, the on you. I can remember going back. I'll never forget. There was this bloke. He must have been about 30, 35. And he had his lad round him. So he had his arms around his lad. His lad must have been about 8-year-old. and we'd just scored. We'd gone into the wheel, and I think was beating them. Over the years, we've created a bit of a rivalry with Cass as a playing group as well. They want to beat us, and we want to beat them. Ever since that sort of 2017 sort of semi-final, we've always wanted to beat them, and they want to beat us. And there's always a bit of animosity there. And we're doing all right, we're beating them, and I go back, and this fella, and he's looking at me, he went, "You effing Scouse, C-U-N-T." And I was like, "Mate, I'm from 10 minutes away. I'm from Dewsbury. What you on about?" And he's got his lad round him like, "Yeah, you were this, you were cheating." And I'm thinking, "You're something else. You actually hate me. You actually hate me."
And he's breeding it with his
8-year-old. His 8-year-old's giving me the same, and I'm thinking, you can't win, can you? You know, I thought he's calling me a Scouse this, Scouse that. I thought, well, mate, I'm 10 minutes away. Yeah. But I'll never forget that.
He's just a passionate Cass fan, though, I suppose.
Oh, man, yeah. I don't want to tie him all with the same bush.
Yeah,
but
I had an uncle, and he's passed away now, my Uncle Brian. And I always remember how Paul he did his eulogy at his funeral. And he said, my Uncle Brian was a Liverpool fan and a Saints fan. And in all the time he supported them, they never lost the game. They were cheated. The referee stole it from them. The other team...
Rightly so, yeah. No, it's passion. Do you know what? And do you know what? I think rugby league fans in general are great out there. You know, you have your passion. You want your team to win as much as you want anything, but you can sit next to a fan of an opposition team, and there's not that hatred there. I don't think there's obviously
there's banter, there's rivalry. I mean, I'm on the other side from you because, well, I suppose you did younger years, but you go to like a Challenge Cup final, and it could be, let's say it was Saints and Warrington, but you'd have Cass fans, Salford fans, from all the rugby team fraternity, having a drink in the pub, having a sing song, having a game of rugby at the car park with a tin can, there's not that level of...
No, which you see in others like football, and for me, there's passion, and then, there's too far, and I've never understood this hatred of wanting to see someone and you think, I want to hurt him because he's wearing a different colour shirt to me. I've never grasped it. I've never understood it, and thankfully in rugby league we don't really have that. There's always a minority and there's always one, and I suppose that's the same in football. It's always a minority what you hear the loudest, but I think our fans are great in that, and I suppose it might come back to this being this working class sort of family feel, and we sort of look after his own. I don't know if that's part of why we can, as much as you are a different team, we look after our sport, and
I think we let you lot do the violence on the pitch for us. So.
Yeah, maybe it is. You see the violence on the pitch, but off it, everyone's always quite respectful of each other. To an extent, there's always the banter, like you say.
Yeah. I mean, it is, you go and knock seven bells out of each other, but there's always like it's an elbow.
I know, yeah.
Now, isn't it?
It's doing me head in.
What gets me is you're tackling each other, you're lying on each other, bleeding, breathing, but then everybody's like just...
And that's what we get fine now if we celebrate a try. So this is why it's all come in. So at first, I don't know if you remember, we kind of, you're scoring tries, you're celebrating as normal.
Yeah.
And we had a few positive tests, and the R4 gone, right now, we're clamping down on everything, track and trace. Anyone sort of, you can't celebrate your tries. I'm like,
right.
What do you mean you can't celebrate your tries? It's all been sucked out of us anyway. There's no fans there, and it's hard, and you sort of score a try. And I was thinking, what if we'd gone to Wembley and scored the winning try at last minute? You're telling me I'm not going to jump all over my mate? And you're not loud, and you're getting fined.
I did notice that change. I think a couple of weeks ago, Aaron Smith scored. And I thought, why is nobody running over to him, congratulate him? He's a young kid coming up.
No one likes him.
Oh, is that really?
No, but you're right, it's sad. It's sad, and you sort of... one of the things, whoever scores, make sure you get there, everyone's getting in. Last one there sort of stinks, you know what I mean? Let's make sure we get around you. We've scored here, let's celebrate it, but it's, they're slowly sucking it all out of us, It's a shame.
It is
a shame.
It's a shame. Right, before we go, I did this with Louis as well. Seeing as you're a Yorkshireman, how Yorkshire are you?
Right.
Okay, see if we can get these. I'm going to give you some words. You can tell me what they mean. So it's slang like Alice.
How are we spelling it?
A-double-L-U-S.
A-double-L-U-S. Can you use it in a sentence?
Yeah.
No, you probably get away. Alice.
I will, Alice, love you.
Always. Always. Alice.
Alice. Is it Alice? Alice?
I'm questioning that one.
Okay, we'll question that one. Arse end.
Arse end.
If somebody's an arse end, you're an arse end, you.
Well, it's arsehole.
Idiot.
Idiot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Bert.
Bert.
Bert. I'm Bert one. I think that's more Lancashire. That,
yeah,
but,
do you know? I'm. Where have you got this one? I'm
that's
questioning
good,
these.
okay. A beck.
A beck.
Yeah. A beck is a stream, apparently.
Huh?
Buits.
Yeah. Buit. Yeah, boots.
Boots. Size 12 buits with a 2-piece full kill.
No it.
Chuddy.
Chuddy, chewing gum.
Yeah, there you go. A cog. Somebody give you a cog.
A cog. On a cog, one of the
Not on the bike, and they give you a cog.
Oh, backy.
Yeah.
Is that no?
Yeah, it's a backy.
Yeah.
What would you say for a backy?
A backy.
A backy.
That's
yeah,
it, a backy, yeah.
Faffin.
Faffing messing about.
Yeah. Gip.
Gip.
Yeah.
Gip.
Thought of it makes me gip.
Oh, sick. Yeah. Being sick.
Lass.
Ah, lass.
Easy. Our lass. If you had a monk on.
Yeah, he was angry.
Okay. Mysen.
Myself.
Marativit.
What?
It says Marativit.
Marativit.
Yeah. 2 of a kind, apparently. No.
No.
Neb.
Neb.
Nose.
Nose.
No. Nitherin.
Cold.
Yeah. How'd the dog back? How'd the dog back? It's take your time, apparently.
Right.
Skift.
Skift.
Move out at where? Snack lifter.
What, sorry?
Snack lifter. It's a pint of beer, apparently. Snap. If you had
Snap
some
food.
snap.
Yeah,
Food.
it's your fodder.
We got water.
Water.
Weirs.
Weirs.
Yeah. Where's that?
Where's where?
Yeah. Yam.
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 Go home.
Go
Is that,
home.
that's Whitehaven though.
Is it Whitehaven?
Yeah.
Is it more?
Is it? Yeah, I'm sure, isn't it?
Yonder.
Yonder, over there.
Over there. Okay. Well, let's see how intelligent you are. So, if I was to tell you I had an half knacker.
An half knacker. I'd say I gotta get it checked out.
Apparently, it's a house brick, which is good for lobbing,
Right.
throwing.
Before you ask me, do you know the answer to all these before you read it?
I knew most of
Because
these.
them Yorkshire ones, I'm not.
Bit dubious.
Yeah,
You
a few
can't
of
trust
them.
Wikipedia, can you?
No.
Really?
This is it. Anyone can
Okay,
go on it.
we'll put it into the steward's inquiry. Corporation Pop.
Well, it's water.
Water.
But well, that's
Is that same?
That's, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Do you know what a moggy is?
Moggy. I've heard that one. I have heard of moggy. Is it some sort of sarnie, something like that?
It's a mouse.
A mouse, yeah. Well,
But in Liverpool, it's different. But I think a moggy's a spider in Liverpool.
Right.
Lobby or lobbies. Do you know what that is? Hot pot without crust on.
Oh, that's a bit pointless, isn't it? Isn't that like a stew?
Yeah, it's a bit like a stew. Yeah. Roaming.
Roaming, going about.
Yeah, roaming about.
Roaming about.
Yeah. Do you know what a split is?
Yes. Is it fish and chips? Is that no?
No.
No.
It's in the what the crowd sing every week. Louis did get this.
Split
fish and curry.
Yeah, fish and
chips. A split is chips and peas.
Chips and peas. Yeah. I knew it was something to do with chippy, fish and chips.
Chippy, yeah. Do you know where Tatty Eve is?
Fataweef.
Yeah. Do you know what Pimmy's was?
Pimmy's. Isn't that what you drink at the Grand National? Pimmy's.
Oh, that's Pimm's.
Pimm's.
Pimmy's was a pie. It's not instant tellings anymore. It was a pie shop, but
right.
Everybody fettled.
I've heard this one as well.
I fettled it.
Go on.
Fixed.
No, I haven't got that.
Mert. I like Mert. That's it. That's my quiz.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, it was a rubbish quiz.
Thanks. I'll have to think something new now. But no, it's been great having you on. It's our second rugby league podcast, so hopefully many more to come.
Well, so you got all the rubbish ones out of the way with me and Louis. Hopefully you can actually get
the big
some
lads in first.
Get some decent now, don't you? You've tested the water.
Tested the water.
It works.
Yeah.
Let's get something decent.
Oh, you've been great, mate.
I've enjoyed it. No, thanks for
Speaking
having
of
me.
Louis, though, what's he like? What's he like at work?
He's like everything you see on TV. He's just a big, massive ball of energy.
Yeah.
But I lived with Louis for about 4 weeks.
Right.
I'd bought a house, and house I was renting that had come to an end, and I was out. And bless him and Jess, they kind of took me in for 4 weeks. And
is that why you're so big? Have you been on Jess's cakes?
Oh, yeah. The Dangerous. She's good, isn't she?
She is really
She's
good.
brilliant.
I mean, they live in my road. I've ordered 2. I've got 2 slabs coming on Friday.
Have you? The Dangerous. They are. But I saw the real Louis there. I say I'm the only person who knows the real Louis.
All right.
And he's different.
You can tell me that off camera.
He's Jess is the boss anyway. Put it that way.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
Which is, I think everyone knows that, but I think he sort of goes to training, gets all this bundle of energy and explodes, and then he goes home and he's Louis. Yeah. Louis, go do that. Do this. Do that. Yes.
We started during lockdown because he lives in our Crescent. It started off on VE Day, but Louis came round and Gav from the Clone Roses lives across from me. Gav. So I'd set my speakers up and my amp and we was playing some like music and stuff, and then we did a quiz, and then obviously into lockdown it was like do another. Mainly Louis like Keith, do another quiz. So we started doing a Zoom quiz on a Friday. Yeah. But yeah, I soon got to learn who the boss is.
Do you know what? I love Louis. He's one of the best. You meet some. You're fortunate to meet some great people in our game, and you meet so many different people. But what a diamond! One of the best blokes I've ever met. And I won't ever tell him that.
No, we just did.
Edit this out.
Okay,
we'll edit it out. But what a bloke! Yeah, he really is. What I love about Louis though, he's got this. He does this, and it really annoys me. As much as I love it, he gets song lyrics wrong. Like all the time, but he sings with such passion and gusto. You sort of question whether they're right or not. By the time we've been driving, we can't do it now because obviously we can't cash. It's crap. We'll go back to it, but we've gone from like Cowley to the stadium to do maybe some training over the stadium, and we tend to car share and. The radio's on BBC Two or some, and some classics come. Elton John, we both like Elton John, and he just gets them wrong. I'm thinking, you're annoying me now.
What kind of stuff does he say?
Everything. He just sings. I don't know. I can't even think of an example, which is how rubbish it is, but it's just so. It's not even the odd word. Yeah, pretty much. But you sort of enjoy his lyrics a little bit more than the actual ones. It's that's Louis. I bet he's like that with his quiz answers.
He's legend.
He'll. Yeah, he is a legend. He says stuff with such gusto and passion that you start believing him, even though he's talking crap. He talks so much crap.
I got a little message off because lockdown was kind of coming to an end, and we'd had stuff on, and then I got a little message off Rudy. Yeah, and he's just like Louis number 2. And Keith, meow mate, when we doing our quiz, come on, Keithy. I was like. Getting abused off little Rudy now.
I know. Oh, well. Yeah, if he's not like his father. I remember when he started going to school and Jess was good because he started coming back with his St. Helens accent. So he was picking up all these bad habits and she was good, was Jess. But he still got it. It's very... It's
going to happen.
Yeah, well, unfortunately.
So are you two going to have a Yorkshire twang?
I hope so. I mean, I've got quite a thick accent. It's mellowed as I've... sort of lived over here, and I know when I first came over, my accent was that strong. Even St. Helens had struggled with me. Never mind the Aussies. So on my first day in pre-season, I just signed for St. Helens. I didn't know anyone. I'm sort of surrounded by all these legends. I go into the office, sort of introduce myself to Nathan Brown. I never spoke to Brownie because I want Brownie's signing. I was Rush's and Eamon's and Kez's signing, and I went in and introduced myself, and we had a 5-minute conversation, and I still don't know to this day what he said, and I'm pretty sure he didn't understand what I said. He said
just like a lot of nodding.
Yeah, he went, yeah. When you're laughing, you can only say what like so many times, can't you? Yeah. And you've got to like make up what he said, and he's sort of laughing at things, and he's looking at serious, and he's
it's like shit. I got that wrong.
Oh, was that not a joke? Oh yeah. Still, I've sort of transitioned a little bit. When someone new meets me, especially an overseas signing. The struggle. Right. They must struggle with Louis as well. And they do. They say that. I know Wolfie said to me a few weeks ago. He said, "Honestly, I still don't understand what you're saying half the time." Like, mint, cheers.
Yeah, nice. We have to try and get Christian on. I see him at the football. He's on a weekend, so I'm gonna try and get into his ribs. See if we can get him on.
I won't get into yours.
Yeah,
he's not shy.
Will you ask him for me?
Oh no.
No. He's that scary.
Nah, it's funny. He gets stuck in it. We do a lot of wrestling now. It's quite defensive oriented, is Wolfie, and he's never shy to give an example. You're just, you'll be sort of doing something before you know it, he's like shot at you in the ribs, and you're sort of on the floor. And he's a strong man.
He had the Samoans performing, didn't he? So.
Tongans.
Sorry,
Tongans.
yeah. The Tongans. Yeah.
Tongans, yeah.
Edit that bit out, Sean. he had the Tongans performing, didn't he?
He did. They were a tough team to play against, but just under Christian especially, they've sort of developed this rugby league playing abilities out. Before, I think a few years ago, they were just big, strong boys who can run hard and cause destruction, but they didn't have that sort of subtlety to the game, but Wolf has done brilliant with them. Beat Australia, beat us.
What an achievement that was.
Incredible.
Not beating us, the Aussies.
Yeah, obviously.
I'm a bit biased.
Yeah. It was, but yeah, no, he's good. Get him on.
I will, yeah, I'll try and get him on. Well, thanks for coming. You've been a great guest, and it's been a pleasure having you. Listening to your stories.
Yeah, thank you. I'm Alex Walmsley. This is the Dockhouse podcast. Please like, share, and subscribe.